Okay, before I get into this part two reflections on my Western dental story, um, I just couldn't help but think, if you're that office manager who thinks I'm insane, or you're the corporate Western dental call center supervisor, if you listen to my first video, where's your conscience? Where are the people that are going to rise up and say, you know what? I can't treat people like this. This is ridiculous. If half of what this guy says is true, I'm working for a company that's a joke. That's treating people without dignity and respect. Where is dignity anymore? Where is integrity? And the only way I can see that people deal with this is they numb their conscience. And we're all guilty of it. I mean, who can say that they haven't dealt with this? We all are guilty of it because the big brother, the big picture is the Western dental sovereign. Hey, I got a job, I got to pay my bills. It's not my problem. And really what we're dealing with is cowards. That's the only way I can think about it. Who will rise up and say, you know what, I'm not going to be a coward anymore. This is wrong. If these people are having all these complaints, I keep dealing with this on a daily basis. If my leadership team saying, hey, just give them the runaround, just keep transferring over and over and over again so they'll just burn out and go away. You know why? As long as we have Medi-Cal, they're just going to keep on coming. They're expendables. Is that where this culture's at? Because I would argue that, if you sit there and talk to your friends and you actually have a mature, intelligent conversation, I guarantee you that office manager and that supervisor, they're walking out of there saying, you know what? This is ridiculous. And the first man I talked to, I said in my video was cool, I said, would you like to be treated like that? And he goes, absolutely not. No, that's wrong. I wouldn't like to be treated like that. And neither would that office manager, and neither would the supervisors and or managers at Western Dental that gave me the runaround. No way would they want to be treated like that in their own life. Yet they get paid professionally to treat other people like that. That's really, I guess, the core issue here that we're dealing with in the cycle and being a part of the cog in the big Western dental picture where nobody knows who these sovereigns are in the top of the mountain. Whatever happened to mom and pop shops? You know what I mean? Leave it at that. Anyways, enjoy the reflection. Bye. Okay, I wanted to do an addendum to the video if you just watched it. It is, I don't know, about 10, 12 hours after I made that video. And be honest with you, I got kind of stressed out and I just took a nap and I just woke up. And it was, the situation and all the energy of the situation was still on my heart and mind. And I want to offer... because I know that office manager thinks I'm insane. I'm a really irrational person. She felt threatened, so forth and so on. And I want to offer this. Does this sound like somebody who's an irrational, in particular, man in this case? Me. My take is that Western Dental is part of this corporate America that has built a system that is not capable of handling real life situations. There are people that are working there in particular as officer managers, and I'm not blaming these people because they're probably making, I'd imagine, 14 to 18 bucks an hour at best, who are put in a situation to deal with human beings, generally speaking, on Medi-Cal, who are not making a lot of money, which is why they're on Medi-Cal, not always, but generally speaking, who are in life situations that are carrying tremendous amounts of stress. And when you deal with your mouth, and if you think about it, the mouth is a very intimate part of the body. When you eat, you use your mouth. When you speak, when you have pain in your mouth, in particular, myself, a cracked tooth, I can't escape a cracked tooth. There's nothing I can do to escape a cracked tooth. And I live every day wondering when that nerve pain is going to kick in. Okay? So in my case now, it's been a month, over a month really, with a cracked tooth, wondering when that's going to happen. 2 cancellations on a root canal, and then having to deal with an office manager, but worse, supervisors at Western Dental who are still, in my judgment, children running the asylum. Very immature people that are not trained, because I can tell by the tone of their voice their ages, and I would say they were in their mid to late 20s at best, maybe early 30s, that were in positions of leadership to deal with conflict with human beings, with dentistry. Very different than what I'll call the Jiffy Lube business model or fast food. And we've seen this elsewhere. But when you deal with dentistry and mental health and hospital care, you really need an adult in the room. You really need somebody with wisdom to deal with the complexity. So I just want to share two quick stories. One is a personal, and then one is a Western Dental story in another facility, and offer some insight here. I used to work with students as an educator many years ago. I had a 9-year-old in my class, never turned in his homework. Had, I think, 32 students, then taught other classes. So altogether, I probably had about 90 students, but I had 32 core students in my homeroom. This boy just never turned in their homework, no matter what, every day the same thing. And it started building. Now, the elementary school in particular is like a train that just keeps moving from station to station. Every day in math, the goal of the team was you got to do a page a day. Got to do a page a day. You got to crank through to finish the curriculum and get through it by the end of the year. Guess what? An elementary classroom is filled with students. I had one girl 1 year with a 140 recorded IQ, reading at a 12th grade level. And the boy that sat about 3 desks away read at a 1st grade level. Now on the playground, they both look like 9 or 10-year-olds playing handball. As soon as they walk into the classroom, completely different situation. Okay, I had to be able to have the flexibility to adjust and balance what the school district wants versus where actual human beings are at. I get what I get when I inherited a class every year as an elementary school teacher. So this boy, once again, several weeks into the school year, did not turn in his homework, and I started giving him pressure. You know, you're going to be benched again, this, that. One morning, the kid broke down and started crying, but he didn't stop crying. He started hyperventilating. He looked like he was having a nervous breakdown. It got to the point where I said, uh-oh. And if anybody's been there, it's a real harrowing situation. I got on the phone, called the office. I said, you know, is a school counselor on campus today? I really need somebody to come up. She came up to my classroom. Thank goodness she was on campus. Pulled him outside, talked to him, calmed him down. He came into class. I said, there's something going on with this boy. Now, I was a young teacher. I had to look beneath the surface. And I knew better. I knew to first seek to understand before being understood. The habit popularized by Stephen Covey in 7 Habits by Highly Effective People. Again, I'm relatively smart. I shouldn't have known better, but I was still young. The IQ, knowledge of what I know, was not still into the I do of life, the wisdom, the application. As I looked into this boy's life scenario or life story, here's what I found out. He gets off school. Time he gets home, school's out at 2:50. He gets home at 3 o'clock. His mother works at a retailer. Starts with a K, ends with a T. You don't see a lot of them around anymore. He's taking care of his 2 sisters, both younger than him. His mother starts work at 3. Most likely she gets off about, 10? Guess who the elder was there? His 9th grade cousin who would come and check in up on him. When I found out these details, the next time this boy came into class, I looked at him, I said, don't worry about your homework. Do the best you can. I said, in my mind, you will have an emotionally safe environment. I'm not going to shame you upon more shame in your life. There's no father at home. Your mother's not present with you. When she gets home, she's tired. What that means, he's probably going to bed at 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night anyways, as a 9-year-old. There's no structure. There's no foundation. There's no organization. There's no management. I can't expect this young boy at 9 years old to perform like another student whose mother's at home, whose gross income is over $100,000, who somebody's there to help him, somebody's there to give him cookies and milk, if you will, or her when she gets home, to cook a nutritious meal, and to tuck them in at night, to say, hey, it's time to go to bed. It's 8:30. You got a school night. Get ready for bed, and to actually parent a child. All right? So that was life-altering for me. And I said, it really doesn't matter what the school district wants me to do. I know what I need to do. I do not want this boy to go through another year of school and have this shame paradigm of I'm a loser, I can't do it, and then I'm going to hold all my emotions in, and then I'm going to explode at some point in time. Okay? Another story, Western Dental. The first time I went to Western Dental, there was a single mother with a teenage son next to me. If you've been to Western Dental, that's an open pod system. And once again, I sat there, I'm waiting, I'm kind of feeling this place out. I'm seeing basically the average age of the office staff, again, in their 20s. The office manager, I would argue, about 27. She was very competent, and she was really trying to work with this parent. Clearly, this parent had tremendous stress, carrying a lot of shadow issues coming into the office. But she was losing it. She was escalating, so forth and so on. This office manager does not have the skills to deal with this individual. If you listen to what I'll call the logic behind her insanity, her craziness, you can hear that there was some management issues. She felt like she was getting railroaded under the carpet, similar to the way I did. Now, if she had to deal with the experiences I dealt with, I can see how that could escalate somebody who wasn't very stable in their life. And I would imagine most people listening to her all kind of bonded, wow, she's crazy, what a nut, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But she's also a human being who has dignity, who's probably got a lot of issues in her life. And Western Dental was the icing on the cake that, the straw that broke the camel's back. And when you don't deal with these situations, they escalate. And it creates a tremendous amount of stress in somebody's life. Okay? Again, we're dealing with dentistry. She, as a mother, is trying to protect her son. Okay? There's some nobility to that. And did she have the tools to deal with this stress? Probably not. But again, if you listen to her story, that with somebody who had the skills could have said, you know what, let me stop for a second. Let's pull us out of this area. Let's go into an office and let's sit there and talk. Okay? Now, I will admit, they did do that, and you can hear the yelling through the door. Okay? But if you backtrack when this person came in and you listen to the steps, this person was just fast food in the Western Dental system, and they had some logic behind their insanity. So what would be my proposal to Western Dental? Continue to have your $12 to $14 an hour people working the front desk, but you got to bone up and get an adult in the room to deal with people. And I will tell you, if I was an office manager and the call center is equipped with children who can't handle situations, that are put in positions of being a supervisor, again, I started my video saying, I totally get why somebody would go postal. I really do. I totally get, when you get railroaded like this, how dehumanizing and undignified it is, how helpless you feel in this giant system called Western Dental and corporate America. And I think we can overlook it at times when you deal with a burnt hamburger, when you deal with Jiffy Lube and the change of your oil, okay? And I can go back and argue that. But when you deal with healthcare, mental health, hospitalization care, who are the people that get jacked over the most? The weak, the innocent, and the vulnerable. Those who are in adult care, those who are in adult housing, easily to be manipulated, Foster care, when I hear reports that 50% of children in foster care are being abused in some way. Have you ever sat in an anonymous group and listened to the stories or the shares? You will hear horrific stories. And we wonder why people fall into addiction. You know, there's logic behind people's insanity. And this system that we have today is not working. And people are crying out for it and saying we got to do something, but it's not going to get better. I don't see it getting better at all. We are regressing, not progressing in this context of American life. Think about it. Lastly, I have some friends that are doing quite well. I am personally in a real struggle right now, a downward spiral. I have friends that make 6 figures, that have 7-figure incomes and retirements. None of them go to Western Dental. Why is that? Why is that? If it was quality health care, why aren't they going to Western Dental? Have you ever been into a private dentist's office where you get treated with respect? Where when somebody says you have an appointment at a certain time, they actually look at your x-ray, they actually listen to what's going on? Have you ever walked into a situation like that and go, man, I have no problems at all? And we wonder why there's such a separation between, quote unquote, the rich and the poor. Think about it. Now, if you're in the context of the rich, generally speaking, life's working. You don't got to deal with that stuff. And there's not a lot of compassion for those who are struggling. How many times have you dealt with a situation like this? You're looking for some sort of compassion, some sort of understanding. Before you finish your sentence, somebody says, oh yeah, you got to hear what happened to me. Boom, they go into their story. You're like, why did I even open my mouth? You know? And then you start holding the stuff in. You start holding the stuff in. You start holding the stuff in. Just like that 9-year-old boy who was living in an unmanaged situation until he finally broke. But when adults break, in particular males, sometimes it's not pretty. My summary is that we are really losing wisdom in our culture today. And those who have compassion, those who have understanding, who are somewhat reflective, could sit back and go, you know what? Hey, I want to make a difference. Kindness can help. But when you have people in positions of authority that are not mature enough, you will continue to see these problems escalate. That's my summary here.